Good evening and welcome to the January 28th School Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded by Easthampton Media. I want everyone to know that the committee will be going into executive session at the end of our regular session and then come back and return to regular session to adjourn. Dr. Leclerc?
If we could all stand for a moment of silence and the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So a few announcements this evening. The next regular meetings for the school committee are scheduled for February 11th, March 10th, and the 24th. The public hearing on the FY 2021 school budget is scheduled for March 24th. There's a half day of school on Monday, February 10th, due to teacher professional development. There is no school February 17th to the 21st due to the winter break. There is also no school on Tuesday, March 3rd due to voting and teacher professional development. And there are half days of school on Thursday and Friday, March 19th and 20th due to parent-teacher conferences. And there is a change in the calendar that we mentioned the last few times. There will be a half day of school on Tuesday, March 31st, due to a special election, and teacher professional development will be held. Because of this election, there will be a full regular day of school on Monday, April 6th, and we sent out that calendar update to everyone. Finally, I want to take a moment to recognize Easthampton High School's We the People team, led by Kelly Brown, who won their third state competition in a row. I know, it's amazing. What an amazing group of students. We, the school committee, could not be more proud of their efforts. And so now the fundraising begins in earnest as the students prepare to represent the state at the national level in Washington, D.C. this April. Thank you. That's all for my notes.
Thank you. That's an amazing accomplishment.
It is amazing.
All right. Excellent. Do we have correspondence?
We have one piece of correspondence from Mary Clayton and Pat Umel, her retiree and substitute teachers, raising a question about the hourly wages for substitute teachers in the district, specifically concerns around their payment at $11 an hour in relation to the minimum wage at $12 an hour, and looking to see some compensation for the very hard work that Mary and Pat see substitute teachers doing on a daily basis in our district.
And I would just say, in response to that, for everyone, we've collected the substitute pay scales from all the neighboring districts to do a comparison, and we're kind of right there in the middle. Okay. We are looking to address the compensation level a little bit next year, but we're looking to put in a tiered system to give people that work the most days like a step up.
Yeah.
So, you know, after 10 days you get a little bump up, and after 30 days a bump up, to try and get those people that are really committed to Easthampton a little bit better pay. Do you know offhand how this works? Is there some reason why we don't have to pay substitute teachers minimum wage? Is there an exemption? Yes,
for this
schools
particular type of position?
schools are exempted.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
Do we have any gifts?
No gifts this week.
Okay. This portion of public speak, and I don't see anybody out there, so we'll be moving on. How about a student representative update?
All right. So today was the first official day of the new semester at the high school. I must say it always feels like the first day of school. A little strange because it's the end of January. But it seemed that everyone was adjusting well to their classes, even though it is always a bit of a shock for everyone. Auditions were today and they will be tomorrow for the spring musical, Mamma Mia, which will be from Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd. You're starting to approach the end of the winter sports season with senior nights coming up for both boys and girls basketball teams. We already had our senior night for the swim team. And the cheerleading team is heading into their competition season that begins in a couple weeks. I believe they have a competition next weekend, and then they level up to higher competitions. And then, like the superintendent said, We the People did win their 3rd state champion, and as a former We the People student, that's so exciting. They were led by Miss Brown and a senior who's interning with, I just want to recognize the senior Hannah Wazinski, who has been Miss Brown's intern last semester and this semester, who, according to a lot of the We the People students, has been an essential help. She's been a really big help for all of them. I believe there will be some events coming up, like a spaghetti dinner, I imagine, within the next month at the high school for fundraising. And there's a GoFundMe that's open right now.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Excellent. Now for subcommittee updates. Can we have a finance subcommittee update?
Yes, we do. Let me just get to, we did meet a couple weeks ago and just sort of reviewed, it's a sheet in here if people want to see. It's the FY 2020 operating budget second quarter report together by our business manager. And basically, most things are on track with spending and expectations this year, sort of a lot more in alignment. The one thing that was to be noted is that we're still looking at just sort of potential some overrun on transportation costs, but that's still sort of somewhat unknown. And hopefully also what the new student budget coming out of the state is going to help deal with some of the foster care and displaced children transportation costs, but we still have to be looking at how that might fit into this year's budget. And then we also did set forward our dates for the upcoming budget review process, and those will be happening through February and into March, and then the date for us to present here to the entire school committee, the budget will come on Tuesday, March 24th for the full school committee's review of our FY21 budget.
Thank you. Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
And on to policy.
Okay, you ready? It's not as big as it was last time. So we have a new policy that we are submitting to the committee for review regarding dissection, and the dissection alternatives that will be available at basically Easthampton High School is not relevant to some of the other schools. But I would like to make a motion to add IN dissection policy, and this would be our first reading.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.
All right. The homeless students, JFABD, is, we would like to update it to the most current MASC version for our first reading.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Okay, JB, equal education opportunities. I'd like to make a motion to add this as a first reading to update to the most current MASC version.
She's got 3. I'll second that.
What's the matter? I didn't hear what you said.
Did you do the other JFAB, number 3? Did you say that?
This is
I just did JB.
Okay, but I thought there was another one before.
Number 3.
Okay.
Now I'm going on to number 4.
Hold on. So
I'll second that. I just heard the JB, not
Yeah.
the JFAB.
though
We definitely
Changing.
did JFAB.
we did
So this one we're voting on right now is
JFAB,
JB.
and now we're doing JB.
You're on number 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just did that one.
Right.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 4. Policy JBB, educational equity, is a new policy from MASC. I'd like to make a motion to add to the first reading.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Wrote all my notes on the other one. Okay, JI, student rights and responsibilities, is a new policy for us. I'd like to make a motion for a first reading, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Jake Picksley.
Okay, JII, student complaints and grievances. I'd like to update to the most current MASC version. I'd like to make a motion for a first reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
JFC, student conduct was one that we had talked about before. We have actually added the MASC version, so I'd like to make a motion to delete this EPSD version.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
GBEBC, gifts to and solicitations by staff. I'd like to make a motion to add the MASC version to our policy manual.
Second.
All those in favor?
GBI, staff gifts and solicitations, that's the Easthampton version. I'd like to make a motion to delete from our manual.
Second.
All those in favor?
GBG, staff participation in political activities. I'd like to make a motion to delete this version from our policy manual.
Second.
All those in favor?
GBI, staff participation in political activities. I'd like to add this version to our policy manual.
Second.
Those in favor?
Okay, GA, personal policies and goals. I'd like to make a motion to update to the most current revision of MASC.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete an old procedure, JEBR.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete 5112, parentheses A, from our manual. It does not belong there.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete JFAR-1. It's a procedure.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete JFHR1. Again, it's a procedure.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete JFHR-2. It's a procedure.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete JHD-R. Again, it's procedure.
Second.
Those in favor?
JHCCA-E is some information that's old. I would like to make a motion to delete.
Second.
Those in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete 5141.4, all selections. I don't know what they are pertaining to, so we're going to delete those.
Okay. Second.
All those in favor?
I'm so sorry, can you go back to the dissection policy very briefly?
Absolutely.
I'm just seeing the 4th paragraph, perhaps like a typo or some kind of copy and paste issue. It says, course dissection activity, dissection alternative activity, the procedure for a student to participate in and.
Sorry,
I'm seeing that, the beginning of the 4th paragraph. Or I guess, yeah.
What point of
The part right before the second list of bullets.
Yes, thank you. The introduction to the second list of bullets says
That was a little bit weird.
course dissection activity, dissection alternative activity. I wonder if we can just delete all of those capitalized words and just start with the procedure for a student to participate in an alternative activity in place of a dissection is as follows.
I think that sounds better.
Does that make sense? Okay. And
I
then
probably didn't cross off enough in that.
Oh, okay. So I would make a motion to make that change, to eliminate that first phrase.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Good catch.
And then just have one other question, because I want to make sure that we put into place policies that we can indeed follow up on everything that they require of us. And maybe this is a question for you, Allison. So at the very end it says, this policy is provided at the beginning of each school year to all teachers of science courses. Does that sound like something that is realistically going to happen each September, that this policy would be handed to
I think it could be part,
those
it could be with a
teachers?
syllabus.
Or,
I mean, well, it could be disseminated to the teachers,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't
Yes.
sure how much
email?
which
that
would,
happens.
we could add it to our staff handbook.
Second. handbook?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just one more time.
Oh, you see another,
To all students who.
okay. All right, great. So do you want to make a motion on that one?
So the very last line is, we're looking at the policy provided at the beginning of each school year to all teachers of science courses that involve dissection, and to all students who enroll instead of student.
Students.
Students.
I think you have to make a motion to do
I
Yep.
move we add that S.
I second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Good catches.
So that, I think that makes sense, that would be in the staff handbook as a good way to access this.
And so-
Thank you.
All right, that sounds good. So, do we have a climate action update?
Yeah, so I just thought it would be good, we had a group come in here in December at our school committee member meeting and talk to us a little bit about some of the different things that are happening, that they were looking to get involved with, including the WE group from the White Brook Middle School. And so we did have a group meeting to come together, I guess this was last week, and we've now sort of laid out a plan to review sort of the 5 major sectors of climate action: transportation, energy, buildings, food and waste, and transportation, or the environment, excuse me, that was the 5th one. So over the next course, they're meeting every 3 weeks at White Brook in the evenings on Thursdays. That basically it's open to anybody, any parents, any students, high school students, White Brook Middle School students who want to get involved and learn. It's going to sort of both include a sort of section where we're going to cover that topic of the sector, talk a little bit about it, do a little bit of education, and then also sort of talk about how we can look at ways to enact that within our own community. So, for example, we'll be looking at transportation on, what day was that I just said? On February 13th, we'll be having a conversation about transportation, and part of that conversation will also be sort of an update on what's happening with the anti-idling campaign that's happening by a number of our students across this district. And so that's sort of how we're going to sort of mix the education with action and sort of look at how those different pieces can be involved in our school district and sort of build it from there and see where it goes. But yeah, parents, students, everyone is invited to be involved, and so, yeah.
Can you just say the time for those meetings one more time?
Yeah, so Thursdays at 5:15 at White Brook Middle School. To run through the dates, it would be transportation is going to be discussed on February 13th, energy on March 5th, buildings on March 26th, food and waste on April 16th, and then other environmental factors on May 7th. And then building sort of towards how does this sort of fit across into already existing curriculum and other ways to sort of build all that on May 28th. So it's going to be meeting every 3 weeks at White Brook Middle School. The front door will be open. People will be able to be told where to go. So any adults, any kids, students want to come, please come. And I think it's going to be a lot of good conversations and trying to figure out what we're doing. One of the other pieces that's going to be coming out of that is that the Easthampton Climate Action Group has a Facebook page. And so one of the things is that with each of these topics, we're going to also be really acknowledging what we're already doing in our school district and helping post some of those different pieces up on their Facebook page so people sort of know what is happening. You know, what is happening with our school gardens, you know, and what is happening with our food coming into our schools and things like that. So that we're going to try to bring in some different folks that will have expertise in each of those categories and come in and talk to about that, and then try to then educate the whole public through all that as well. And it might be something that we might be able to look to be able to co-link with the Easthampton Climate Action Group too, as those different things happen, so we can talk a little bit more about that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, please come, please participate.
All right. Superintendent's update.
Well,
Is there any other before?
I just wanted to mention, I didn't, like I said, I wrote my notes on the wrong one. JBB, the educational equity, was one that we just voted to add to our policy manual. That was something that we discussed that we were going to send off to the AG just for his stamp of approval.
That's what, I was looking at that list.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, now to our superintendent update.
Well, this evening for our educational presentation, we have the high school administration here, to go over the program of studies and any proposed changes or adjustments to that. So, Mr. Evans, welcome.
Thank you, Superintendent Leclerc. So I trust that you've had an opportunity to
Study this.
see and review and memorize the entire program of studies that we're offering for 2021. Actually, mostly I hope that you got the cheat sheet that showed you where the changes are in the program of studies. If you need one, I have copies.
Wait a minute.
Looks like this? Yeah.
It might be here.
Really use a copy.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Sue has a copy over here.
Is it this?
It's toward the back, yeah, it's toward the back.
Above the warrants and payroll in the regular packet.
I think it's in our packet.
It's in the packet.
In our packet.
That you didn't even.
So to do this, we can proceed in a number of ways. I can go through every single change, edit by edit, or I can just ask if you have any questions, or somewhere in the middle. If you have any concerns about anything specific, I would invite any questions to start. Ms. Donna?
If I may ask, was anything added to the program of studies in regards to the dissection policy that we're talking about?
No, because it wasn't policy yet.
And it's not in the book, right, okay.
But bump.
So,
That was a test.
And I don't know that that policy would be woven into the program of studies. It would be more in the course description,
right, in the.
like in the syllabus,
Okay.
and certainly in the handbook. Program of studies. It might be in the program of studies. It might have a. I think that's common practice at this point anyway.
Okay.
But certainly we would add that in. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like him to go through and just go through the changes for you, or do you?
If there's any of substance or.
Yeah, I think I can probably point out the ones that are
Yeah.
more of substance.
Okay.
We're not really in that. You found the humorous part?
The accreditations, they hadn't been updated since 2012. I just thought that was funny, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so in going through it, and I tried to go through it, and myself and the team leaders, somewhat carefully in each of the departments. There was some reworking of some language, and just updating things like Common Core standards is a phrase that's not really applicable, so we replace that with curriculum standards, curriculum frameworks throughout the document. So that kind of updating happened. I think there were some deletions of courses that have not been offered in some time. We just don't have the, we haven't been able to offer things like accounting 1 and 2. I think page 64, about 2/3 of the way down on your annotations. And there was also courses on publication that we are not offering any further. The last edit there, pages 68 and 69, there were courses on publications offered in the Fine Arts Department that are no longer available. So rather than keep carrying them through year to year, we decided to remove those. Some of the course descriptions got updated. The page 45, the AP, I believe that's U.S. History course, or excuse me, Language Arts course descriptions got updated, and those were not just edits; they were. Excuse me, I'm looking at the AP Chemistry ones. So there were significant changes there.
And I'm imagining that came directly from the national AP. We don't have a lot of discretion there.
Well, we have to submit a curriculum that gets approved by the College Board, so they have final say in the syllabus.
Yeah.
But I think these updates partly describe how the year is set up there's a fall section and a spring section, as opposed to doing it. So there's just some structural changes as I'm looking through these. I know that the dual enrollment and independent study, those on pages 15 and 16 were reworked carefully by the people in the counseling department. And I think really there was just an opportunity for people to look at what was there, see if it really matched what was happening, and then to update the language in a way that reflected more of what happens. The experience for the students is not significantly different because of the changes in the program of studies. We didn't change the schedule. We didn't throw away, change the graduation requirements, how many classes you have to take. None of those things changed. It's really the language in this document needed to be updated, and that's really the changes that you'll see.
I would mention not necessarily related to the content of the courses, but I like the changing of the presentation of the AP classes, how it now says students must take the AP exams as opposed to students are required to take and pay for the AP chemistry exam. This was a small thing that always irked me in the past because I felt like it could be a deterrent to the student who would otherwise be interested in these courses, but perhaps there's financial barriers, and so I'm glad to see that that has been reworked a little bit.
I am too. Any other questions? Yeah.
I ask this every year,
Yeah.
so my passion is world languages, and I see we still have level 5 offered for French and Spanish, and I ask every year, do we have any students taking level 5?
So, no?
Actually, I believe there are 2 students taking French 5 this semester. So I was just in French 4 last semester, and there are 2 students who are doing
Great.
5 right now.
That's wonderful to know. Well, then, the second part of that was a question. Now I have a comment, and I'm very excited. I heard that there is a possibility for one of our heritage speakers to be able to take an exam to get the seal of biliteracy here in Easthampton for the first time. And I'd like to make a suggestion that we have wording in our program of studies, both for our English language learners and our students of world languages, that would explain what the seal of biliteracy is and entice them to pursue that. And I'd be happy to help with that language. I've done so for another district.
That would be terrific. That recently came across to my email, and I sort of put it out to see if we felt like there was anybody in the high school that might qualify. And the answer is not sure. But we do have people looking to see if we think that will happen, and I would certainly invite to have that language in there, because yes, if we can have students be able to achieve that recognition, then we certainly want to provide it.
Wonderful. I'll be in touch with you about
Yeah,
that.
the barrier has often been the English side.
Yes.
Yeah, the criteria for scoring proficient, or the new designation in the MCAS, get kids to pass, but maybe not to that level. And so hopefully somebody in the queue is going to get there. So
That would be phenomenal. And hopefully we'll be able to work at our world language program and start it earlier, and we'll be able to have students achieve it that way
right,
as
so
well.
that is the key. If with the block schedule that we have, if students want to accelerate through, they can, but it's tricky. And really, my understanding has always been you're really going to start in 7th grade
Yes.
to really be able to get to those higher levels. So
Well,
I
Julianne
only
and
work at the high school.
Julianne and I are going to a conference in Framingham in March to talk about starting a dual language program in the new elementary school.
Wow.
So,
That's the place to do it.
yes.
We all know that, right?
Page 16.
Thanks for asking,
Sure.
Sophia. Thanks for bailing me out. And feel free to ask again next year.
The only issue is they're seniors, Sophia, the two
Yeah,
taking.
they're both seniors.
Yes, and that's the issue with the way the exams are set up for the seal of biliteracy. It's very difficult to have students be able to take an exam early enough to be able to prove that they can achieve it before graduation, and a lot of districts are discussing that issue. So some districts have said, could we send the seal after graduation? And DESE said no, it has to be determined before graduation. So I'm part of a statewide group, so I'm happy to share that information with you as well.
Terrific. Thank you. Any other questions?
I had one more, I'm sorry. In regards to the freshman wellness, I know that we've talked a lot about that in the equity steering group. Dan?
Mr.
Okay.
O'Donohue.
He's on board with everything, doesn't want to make any changes, didn't want to rock any boats?
So, so just to, I think what you're referring to is using the ninth grade wellness class. By the way, I do want to point out, I'm going to quick aside here.
Okay.
There's one other change that's not in the on the annotated list. At the very end of the document is the worksheets that students use to sign up for their courses. There's some outdated language there on page 79, where it says, in the middle of the page, it says freshman physical education, freshman wellness. That needs to get changed to ninth grade. We don't use the term freshman anymore. So you're talking about ninth grade wellness, and we've been talking in the Equity Steering Committee about looking at that curriculum because we're thinking about trying to add some, well, looking at what's being taught there now, thinking about our priorities as a district, and trying to see if there's room there for changes. Those are not reflected here because we just had that conversation. We have been having that conversation, but the more I think about it and the more I talk with Julianne about it, what we're probably looking at doing is adding a different course versus amending the wellness curriculum. The wellness curriculum, as it is, still needs to be taught, and it's only one semester every other day, so it's really only a quarter-long course. So it's not a lot of curriculum, not a lot of time to get a fair amount of curriculum in there. So in my mind, what we're talking about in the Equity Steering Committee needs more time than that.
Okay.
So I'd like to think about adding, which if we're going to add, someone's got to come off, or we're going to add it as an elective, and so on. So there's a process that goes into that, and certainly, when it's ready, we'll present it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have done this before. I should have read this more carefully. I see the title is World Language Department, but the language isn't consistent throughout. Sometimes it's referred to as a foreign language, and I'm very thankful that at last DESE has recognized that it should always be termed world language, and students shouldn't be speaking a foreign language in this country.
Right.
So could you look at that and see if you
Yes.
can change that to world language throughout?
Yes, thank you for noticing that. That's, I know, it's like the freshman thing. You think you get them all, and then you missed a few. So absolutely, it should always say world languages.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to approve this with these changes?
I move we approve the course of study with the discussed changes.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to add anything about We the People?
Oh, yeah, I do, because we haven't had enough We the People discussion. Actually, what I did want to add is that, to win 3 years in a row is obviously a significant accomplishment. One of our members this year, I was told anecdotally, had said that he was planning on taking this class when he was in 7th grade. Attending the, did you go on Saturday?
No, I wanted to, but I couldn't.
Right. Did anybody else go? Did you go? So they had like 50 people that were not competing come to support the team, many of whom are alums who, you know, are leaving whatever colleges they were tucked away in to attend a Saturday event, an all-day Saturday event. And many of those students came back during their January break to help out in the class. Members of the community come in every day to help out. And I'm not going to try to mention them all because I'm going to miss a lot. So my point is that this program is not confined to the 11th and 12th graders that take this class. It starts early and extends beyond. And if you ask any varsity coach, how do you build a successful program, that's what they'll say. You need a feeder program, and you need your alums to come back and help and demonstrate and model. And that's what's happened with this program. It's remarkable that an academic hard makes you cry during practices program has been so successful and has gotten such demand to participate. And it's obviously a credit to Ms. Brown and the work that she's put into it. It's also a credit to the program in itself that's run by the state and nationally. They obviously have created something that has an appeal for those that are willing to put in the time and the effort. So I'm really, I'm new to the district, so I can't claim any credit whatsoever, except to get out of the way and let it happen. And so far, so good with that. So it's really remarkable. I'm incredibly impressed. It is a program. It's becoming a juggernaut in this community, and we have a lot to be proud of. So thank you to all of you for your support.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Brown. Warrants and payroll.
Yes. I move to approve the school payroll dated 1/16/2020 in the amount of $513,044.40. That's not right. $513,044.40.
Second.
All those in favor?
I move to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated 1/16/2020 in the amount of $161,957.17.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you very much, Bud.
I guess that's
Thank
it.
you.
So I would make a motion to approve our minutes from our regular session meeting on January 14th, 2020. We have another set? In the, all right, very good. Sorry about that. Thank you, Sue. Okay.
It's the same.
You sure?
Right here. This one did.
We didn't do that one?
You just did 161.
So you did a 161, so these still have to be done.
Very similar numbers, not
yeah,
the same.
very
Okay,
similar.
all right. I move to approve the school payroll dated 1/30/2020 in the amount of $516,760.42.
Second.
All those in favor?
I move to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated 1/30/2020 in the amount of $331,963.18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you. Apologize for my confusion there. And so now I will make a motion to accept the regular session minutes from January 14th.
Second.
We are withholding the executive session minutes until that matter is resolved.
All those in favor?
I have to abstain, it wasn't me.
Okay. Budget transfer request?
Which is in that packet.
It's in a different packet?
It's in the small secondary
The
packet.
little one.
You want that?
It's just added to the record.
Okay. All right, great. So, Allison, is there anything we should know about this? It looks like just moving some money around to cover the cost of transportation for students experiencing homelessness?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, very good.
So it's an unfunded mandate, so.
Unfunded mandate. All right. So I would make a motion to accept this budget transfer request from the special ed office.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. And that should be it. So I would like a motion, to make a motion to go into executive session. Can we have a roll call vote?
Nicole LaChapelle. Shannon Dunham.
Maren Goldstein.
Cynthia Kuzinski.
Marissa Carrera.
Dwight Garcia.
And we will be returning at the end of the executive session to adjourn.
Have a good night.
Okay, we are returning to regular session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned.
Buenas noches.